G'day, mate. Hello. I know I always say this, but it's going to be a quick one because I'm sick of my face. But I scheduled a stream for 2 p.m., forgetting that I'd booked an interview for this morning, which also streamed on my channel earlier. And I think you might be sick of my face too. But I've got to show up just in case you didn't. So, hi, I'm tired. Anyway, it's all good. So, hang on one sec. Let me check things. I think we're okay. Hang on. Let me just get the chat up. I forgot. Quick. Hang on. Technical shit. Because then I can see. Generally, that makes things more interactive when you can see the interaction. All right. So everyone's sick of my fucking face today. So, hi. Let me check the sound. Seems to be okay. Good-o. All right. So I've been writing quite a bit of stuff. I was joking on Twitter just this second, okay, which was basically like, where do I get my compensation for being called fucking alt-right Nazi for the last 5 years for simply doing fucking class like analysis? Like, what the fuck? I think we should get some fucking compensation and we should I want to know who I could talk to because, we're seeing this stuff play out now and I go, well, it's just going exactly the way that we expected it would if you've been paying attention, which is that, any meaningful conversation about class is obviously being, whitewashed. Fucking Taylor Swift. You could say Taylor Swift doesn't write her own shit and you get an apology. She gets an apology. It's like, that's fucking seems like a minor thing. Compared to me being called a fucking Nazi, that's power. That's the difference between having power and not having power, is that you can be systematically called a bigot and a Nazi right up until this very fucking morning where I'm still called a fucking bigot and a Nazi and all that shit because I think pronouns are retarded. And also counterintuitive. One of the things that I'm joking, but one of the things I've been talking about is that all this stuff is completely counterintuitive to the goals that you want to achieve. And that's not to say to be civil or that people will stop listening if you're not polite. Like, not that fucking wankery, right? I'm talking about the fact that it literally it's unpopular. Like, you claim this, and again, I'll lead into the fucking talk to a poor thing because people don't really think, they don't realize just how unpopular things are and how unpopular they are and how despised they are and how it's not persuasive to hold a fucking threats over people's head. And if you call them a bigot, they're just going to assume that you're in fucking a cult. Because that's what cults do. It's what they're going to assume. And they're going to stay away from you and they're going to back away slowly. They're not going to sit there and go, tell me more. They're going to say, fuck off. Psycho, you're calling me a bigot because I looked at you sideways. Well, I'm sorry, but everything good that you had to say up until this point, I'm going to question. And that's what happened. It's just, this is part of the stuff that I talked about with Rod this morning, right? You can go back and watch that. I talk too much, tend to dominate. You may have noticed, but that's okay. I've got a lot to say and it's very complicated and it's, when there's no real structure or, when there's when it's free flowing, I kind of just, Anyway, it's all good. I'm paranoid that I talk too much, but that's just by the by. That's my baggage. But that's, ironically, it's from a fucking lifetime of being told to behave and be civil. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, optics, tactics, fucking what works. It's not about behaving or civility or anything. It's just simply basically science. All that science you fucking talk about when it comes to human behavior and, history and an understanding of what these words mean and what your conduct shows about you or tells people about you, heuristics, okay? This is science, okay? So if you're sitting around and making an enemy of people who would otherwise be your friend and ally, then, fucking hell. Especially when it comes, and this is, what today's video is about. which is that it's just, well, I have to wonder genuinely, like, I mean, yes, Twitter's mostly fucking troll bots at this point. It's pointless. But I stay there because that's where the nudging happens and that's where those first engagements happen. But, and yeah, blue checks are up their own asses. But people that I saw who are just used to be connected to class politics, at least a little bit, at least pretended to be. They at least made the effort and made the right noises that made them sound like they were on the side of the poor and the vulnerable. But, and, again, I understand this is all powerful stuff, but this was what I got mad about the other day, which was the Melbourne lockdown protest again. Fuckwits, okay? Everyone agree, they're being fuckwits. But why are they being fuckwits? Who's getting them there? Who's campaigning? Who's radicalising them? Why are they there? And also, is it helpful to mock people when they already think that you hate them? No! Because you push them there. It's like they're already in this headspace where they like, if you study the material and you study the tactics and you understand every aspect of every part of this campaign and this war and all of this information stuff, and you see the ads, you see the material, you see the content, you see the copy, you see the social media interaction, you see the bots, you see all of those things, you go, oh yeah, it's a whole fucking campaign that already presupposes and assumes that you're a cunt. So why don't you go and prove them right? Like, why are people who I thought had their fucking feet in class politics looking down their noses at poor people? Why are they like, calling people fuckwits? Yeah, I'm saying it with love and affection, right? And you know that. It's not intended. But like, it's said with love. It's the Australian fuckwit, okay? They're being fuckwits, okay? We can all agree that. But at the same time, right, like you're sitting around and calling people names and all of this kind of stuff, but it's actually done in a sadistic, again, people know the difference. People can tell intent from these things. And like, there's just this bizarre, horrible cruelty that I'm seeing coming out of the professional class of like media and academia and like, like teachers, professional class, right? And again, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily middle class because, people aren't paid, but I'm saying like professional class where either they never had these roots to begin with and it was all bullshit, which is one part of it, some of them. But some who I know like come from pretty good like working class backgrounds who are grounded in class analysis and their brain has fucking imploded and rotted and they're suddenly now calling anybody who's concerned with the lockdowns or has questions of power that I might add we spent the last 30 years trying to get them to fucking be on board with. Monsanto, fucking big oil, big tobacco, all those things, the climate crisis, and you fucking spend the last 30 years screeching and yelling at people and fucking whatever, calling them dumb because they didn't listen. And now when they are suspicious of the very same forces, you call them, it's like, what the fuck do you want? This is how this stuff is received from people who aren't your friends in your bubble. Ordinary poor people who fucking don't care about politics. They don't see anything that's helping them. They are fucking hopeless. They are traumatized. They are afraid. And what you're also doing is walking up and giving them a big old kick in the nuts for doing exactly what you told them to do fucking for 20 years, which was to be suspicious of power and corruption. For fuck's sake. So what the fuck? And that was why I was like, talk to a poor. Are any of these people talking to poor people ever anywhere at all anymore? And I can't help but think that half these people have just decided that they're on the fucking left, got a nice job for themselves, fuck everybody else, I'm okay. Now it's my job to support the power that fucking pays me, which, again, it's not about betrayal, but it's about honesty with yourself, about your motivations and why you do what you do. And if you are compromised, then be honest and transparent and disclose. I don't talk about this because I'm paid by this person. I do that. I'm honest. Right? I tell you where my money comes from. I tell you, all of that stuff. I'm honest. That's all I'm asking for, is a bit of transparency around these things, right? But I sit there and I go, you know what? If you're fucking paid for, if this is an influencer campaign, I haven't eaten, sorry, I forgot I was on camera. I was just ranting. But if you're part of an influencer campaign, you need to declare that, okay? If you're an ad, which basically you are at this point, you're an ad for fucking, the US military industrial complex, whatever the fuck. Again, apparently, military industrial complex, propaganda model, fucking Marxism. Apparently, they're all conspiracy theories now. Fucking idiots. They're not conspiracy theories. It's established thought. I'm not going to fucking have you turn around and go, that's not real. It's fucking real. You know it. Or you're dumb. So you're either lying or you're stupid. Because that's established on the left and always has been. Gramsci. Fucking Marxist philosopher. Cultural hegemony. Okay? There's never anything that is, I'm going to butcher it now because I wasn't planning to talk about it. But basically, the superstructure exists. This is more work on ideology and the superstructure, which is that the professional class exists to run interference for the upper class. And there is no such thing as any real fucking workers' movement because the newspapers are fucking owned, by the rich and for the benefit of the rich, okay? And all of the cultural stuff and cultural power comes from that. And that's, that didn't come out right. I'm tired. You know what I meant. But it's just like, what the fuck? How is all of this established thought suddenly thrown out because someone thinks, because Judith Butler and fucking whatever wrote a book? Where did that get thrown out? I wasn't consulted. I didn't sign that fucking contract where I was supposed to suddenly change my mind on something just because some fucking yank is on the take for something. Or also mentally ill. Who the fuck knows? Who knows? But I'm just saying, what the fuck happened? Again, I know I'm being glib. I'm tired and I'm just a bit pissed off. But it's just I sit there and I watch all these rich kids just fucking talking down to these normal, hardworking people with complex stories, complex lives, lots and lots of reasons for why they're there. Yeah. Is it a good idea? Nah. Do they hate you? Yep. So you calling them a fuckwit, do you think that's going to make them suddenly turn around and vote for you in 3 months when there's an election? No. Who do you think they're going to vote for? Clive Palmer. Who doesn't give a fuck about them? We do, apparently. Last time I checked, the Labor Party and all those people cared about the poor. My mistake. Oh, fuck me. I don't know if it's just what the actual fuck is going on with this, it's just amazing to me how we're supposed to throw out all of feminism, all of fucking theory, all of philosophy, everything up until 10 years ago. And go, yeah, no, that's just bigotry now. Oh, what the fuck? Who are you, L. Ron Hubbard? Go fuck yourself. No, I don't. No, you could. Okay, nice opinion. Cool. Part of the toolkit. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. I'm not buying that, Jehovah's Witness. I'm not interested in what you're selling. I think that you asking me to discard everything that we know, okay, that's not bigotry. That's just fucking, that's just critical thinking and healthy skepticism for anyone who comes knocking on your door telling you to fucking discard everything you ever believed. Dickheads. But when did this become anyway. But the thing, it's it's just so disconnected. And I know this is all online, right? But again, the discourse on Twitter And those things inform what happens in the press because they're fucking assholes who exploit this stuff. Read your Gramsci, wrote it in 1916. Again, there's nothing new here. It's all old. Easy. Actually so easy, it's almost boring. And I wish that I wasn't sitting here trying to fucking persuade you of the obvious. But here we are. I wish that I wasn't on the back foot having everybody question my intelligence and sanity and fucking all of this stuff when I know what this is and it's right. And anyway, side point. Easy. But the Content Factory won't fucking allow that. The Content Factory only asks questions and never allows answers. So that's just how it is. So here we go. But I find it absolutely astonishing that anybody who, calls themselves left-wing, whatever the fuck that means, as you know, I have a problem with that. I use words that meet people where they're at. I'm not going to say, oh, well, because you'll see what happens even the interview this morning. It was like, well, it's a lot of complicated stuff behind that word. You got to be, I try to, you can be derailing. You can go off in a, world because there's a lot of stuff behind these things. But I do try to use simplified terms because that's in the vernacular and that's the terminology that people use. Because, they're not going to be interested in my theory, but they are going to hear, if they hear a term, like critical theory or all those things, they may have heard it somewhere else and you meet them where they're at. Okay. That's what the right do best, is meet people where they're at and then nudge them, pull them towards them. Not scream at them until they're perfectly the way you want them to be. And if they fucking take a while to get there, you fucking morons. It's just like, does anybody know how to run a campaign? For all these, it's amazing how an industry can be simultaneously so precise in psyops and nudging and information. And this is how I know it's right wing, by the way. Because the left aren't that fucking organised because you're all fucking retarded. Don't know how to sell yourselves for shit. Never have. That's why Monty Python is like, it's one of those old things. You make fun of your own, right? We're disorganised and we don't know optics. And our newsletters and pamphlets tend to be a little long because shit's complicated. But you also, one thing the right do is that thought-terminating cliche stuff. Okay, and also words that feel true on the surface, like authoritarianism, even though that's not what it fucking means. Okay, it just sounds like it's got the word authority, and it means, and they, people don't look any further. They count on the fact that people don't look stuff up. And unfortunately, the left assume that everyone's going to read everything all the time and know everything in precise detail and be a Marx scholar and fucking, no. But what you can do is say, you know what, that dick rocket is fucking offensive. Don't you agree? And they go, yeah. Don't you hate that yuppie cunt telling you to lean in? Yeah. Don't you hate being censored all the time because Americans get to decide what words we say? Yeah. Aren't Americans a bit like a hot, wet fart that descended upon the internet, stinking it up for everybody else with their stupid fucking shit, when everything else, arguing over shit that most of us have settled? Yeah. Stupid. See? You meet people where they're at. But then you get your sort of civility, actually unsolicited essay guys. I call them the holy brotherhood of the unsolicited comment section essays at Woman What Talk. But like, we know the guys and the actuallys, right? And the essays and the fucking, like if you called Bezos's rocket an unsolicited dick pic in the sky, people know what you mean. I said actually it was quite funny on this morning's thing, which is I said, Jeff Bezos literally has access to all of the world's data and still can't read the room. It's like, what the fuck? But it's just like, and we know why, but it's just, this is the shit that they don't get. And like the professional left in particular, because they're too busy fucking furthering their own lot and their own, justifying their own position within the hierarchy and, and profit and working within capitalism to chip away at the fucking, chew at the edges and nibble at the edges of the fucking system. rather than asking serious questions of themselves and the people around them about whether they actually are accomplishing anything or exploiting it and profiting from it themselves. And that's the problem, is that the second you see someone who's, I go, well, you're not really that, you've either been schooled in the wrong school of socialism or you're not really one. Because if you're exploiting people, you think about that first. Okay. When I was running a business and I had staff, every part of my business, I tried to run as though with my values, which was, to make sure that within this system that, it was as nice and well as possible, and that I didn't overwork and I didn't make demands, and I, treated fairly, and, all that kind of stuff that you can do, right? Try to be collaborative, try to be as flat as possible with, all that sort of stuff. But I see people just throwing this shit out. I think people need to have a hard look at themselves and decide really what their politics is. Because all I see is fucking people wielding capitalism like they've just fallen over and rolled over for it and just decided they've fallen for all of the propaganda they apparently are experts in. Like they're so good at this. It's bizarre. And I know that it's hypnotic and seductive. That's the nature of it, right? But I think doing some really honest fucking self-reflection in this last couple of years is really warranted about where people's politics are. Because, when you see a dick in the air in the middle of a fucking pandemic, and you see like Richard Branson asking for handouts, and the first thing that you say is, oh, but jobs and the economy, and you go, who the fuck are you? That wasn't like what you were saying before. What you were saying before was, oh, well, people matter first. Jobs are people. Fix certain things. And they also, it's like, even from a policy point of view, most of these policies are more expensive, less, like there's these myths, and you just bought these myths that private enterprise are fucking more trustworthy to get stuff done and more efficient. No, they're not. And the only reason they might be is because they can fucking cut corners because of their lack of ethics and accountability. That's the only reason that it might be marginally more efficient than government, is because there's less scrutiny on their conduct, as I've said about ethics with, this digital stuff. The reason why my industry is so fucking corrupt is because there's no regulatory body around this stuff. It's not illegal to do this. It's not illegal to fucking radicalize people and put them on pathways, and it should be. It should be severe criminal penalties for it, because you're fucking with people's heads. But, but again, I'm just going to ask that question. When was the last time you actually sat at a bus stop and talked to a fucking poor person? Now, I don't need to. I do actually. I do talk to people, but I'm saying I don't go sitting at bus stops. But I'm saying, like, when have you actually tried to empathize and understand? When have you gone into a local, like, online Facebook group that's not your fucking people and just observed and seen what's up with them? When have you read actual, like, concerns? When have you gone outside of an online community that's different to what you're interested in and gone, okay, this is interesting, jump on Reddit? Okay? Not to shit post and hate post and screen cap and shame on Twitter for fucking having, like, things, but actually, you know what? Listening and having, a genuine understanding of people's fucking situations. I'm going to guess that most people have not done that. And if you have, then you're probably one of the poor people, because you're talking to poor people every day, because you're at work during a pandemic with a dick flying through the air. Anyway. But it's just so counterintuitive, because it's like they already hate you. You're fucking punching down constantly, telling people like me, who the only people who fucking defend any of these people, because I feel like I'm between those and I can kind of run interference between the two, which is that, we told them to fucking stop trusting power. Well, now they don't trust power. What are you going to do? Fucking hell. Retard, professional, middle class, upper class fucks. Talk to a poor! For fuck's sake, would you talk to a fucking poor? Anyway, I was going to keep this half an hour, and I think that's about me outstaying my welcome. This was a short one. Love you. Thanks for watching. It was only because I scheduled and I promised I'd be here, and I'm showing up, and I'm fucking met my part of the deal. Now, everyone else can meet their part, which is the fact that if you're on the left, you fucking talk to a poor person and stop mocking people for being in pain. Yeah, I think that it's not ideal, but they're like, what the fuck? You were on the streets 10 years ago. What's wrong with you? Since when were the left fucking polite? As I said this before, last time I checked, heads fell off. Last time the left got anything of substance actually fucking done, heads fell off. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm a proponent of non-violent resistance, malicious compliance, and those sorts of things. That said, that's also not working, thanks to you. So I'm saying it's going to come. I'm saying it's probably going to happen. Might not. But you can't lock everyone up. It's just like, what the fuck? Where does this go? Lock everyone up. Lock up the poor for complaining that they're fucking starving and that. What side are you on? Call them fucking radicalized and paternalistically turn around and go, oh, it's all just disinformation. Everything that I disagree with is disinformation. Yeah. Fucking 3 years ago, you were calling everybody a fucking Nazi. And everyone turfs. And they ended up being fucking mostly all right anyway, didn't they? Because you ended up being a fucking asshole. And they were right. Again, I'm just, this is a bit of fun. Not very serious today. But, like, Jesus fucking Christ, guys. Like, stop looking down at people. They might be dumb, yeah. Call them dumb. I call them fuckwits all the time. And I say, you're being a fuckwit, you're being an idiot. But people know that my heart's good and I mean it, that they're being a fuckwit, but I mean it with love. And you can turn around and say that, like, whatever, like, again, these things, this is non-verbal. There's non-verbal language online. Believe it or not, there is. When you've been on it long enough and, equate yourself with this, familiarize yourself with a lot of this stuff and subtext, and you're actually a literate person, okay, and you understand a bit about the person, and, you might get it wrong from time to time, but those heuristics are very powerful, and you can tell. Pronouns in bio, generally a fuckwit. Okay. Generally a narcissist. Generally, there are exceptions, but generally you can somewhat predict in which direction something's going to go based on certain markers. And that's how Twitter detect bots and all that stuff. It's all signals, right? It's the same thing. It's what heuristics are. But yeah, like it oozes out. The elitism oozes out of everyone's pores in these things. And I think people really should start reflecting on what outcome they're looking for. Do you think shaming works? It doesn't work. Do you know what it does? Sends them elsewhere. Sends them to people who don't make them feel like shit. Talked about that before. Okay. What do you want? Everyone censored that you don't like? Okay. What do you want? To never see anything that you don't like? Okay. Cool. Like, think it through. Your mindset is that of every authoritarian movement ever. And I hate using that word, but I mean it in, the strictest sense. Again, that's the problem with these words being used and weaponized, is that I can't fucking use words anymore that I actually know the meaning of. But anyway, try talking about fascism with any fucking serious, tone anymore. It's like, well, okay. Keep walking off that cliff. Go on. But what's happening is that it's just, you don't understand it. It's just, if you block everyone, cancel everything that doesn't agree with you, and fucking yell at everybody, and then make demands and act like a smug cunt on the one, like the handful of people that are left that can barely tolerate your fucking presence, slowly you realize that everyone starts to isolate away from you, and you have no idea how small your group is and how much they fucking hate you and how many of them there are. And I'm trying to say, hey, listen to this person. They're batshit and they're a bit of a cunt. They got pronouns in their bio, but give them a chance. They just don't know what they're supporting. They don't know that what they're supporting is the thing that they're trying to fight, and they're making everyone sleepwalk right into the fucking fascists that they keep fighting in their sleep during their fucking fever dream over Trump. Anyway, Love you. I always go over, but I love you. 32 minutes. Thank you for your precious life seconds. Be back on Thursday with a slightly better stream. And that was just a bit ranty. I needed something, and I'm sort of tapped out from this morning. And like my brain's like, I'm turning to a pumpkin. So anyway, bye. If you want to support me and become a patron, go to my website, all that stuff. No one does, because apparently making everyone, yelling at everybody and calling everyone idiots and cunts isn't good for money. Isn't good for your fucking... That said, I'm also usually right. So maybe when I get my fucking settlement money, we'll have a nice party. Maybe. I don't know, fucking smallpox next, I'm guessing. Fucking whatever. That's the next conspiracy theory that's happening now, is that there's a lot of patents and shit coming from smallpox research. And I'm like, what the fuck is coming? And all those people that were called conspiracy theories and Nazis and fucking all that stuff, I warned about this. I literally warned about this when Q got fucking... This was how it would go, and it's going this way, which is that everybody who's got anything legit to say about anything corporate or like corruption or anything is now unstable, mentally ill conspiracy theorist. And if they're not that, then they get locked up and they're a fucking terrorist. Like that's how this goes, because it's almost like I know stuff. It's almost like some people know more than someone with just a gut feeling and read one word and didn't even look up what the word meant. It's almost like people know stuff. It's almost like there's information before you. You know what? American exceptionalism. But I'm going to call it now fucking identity exceptionalism. I don't know. It's an exceptionalism where you think that you're I mean, that's something that's a youthful thing, right? Every teenager thinks they fucking know everything. But you're supposed to grow out of it. Fuck me. So get out of adolescence and stop fucking cheering on the Wiggles and shit. Grow the fuck up. It's a pandemic on. And people are hurting and starving and you're being an asshole, pushing them into fascism. Ugh. Anyway, I'm going to try and do more writing this week. Love you. Bye. I think I can't find the button. I need my buttons back. Fucking new computer. I'll get to it. Ciao.